Fashion may seem shallow at times, superficial, people buying things just because they have a big designer name printed on the front, maybe because they saw someone they found cool wearing it, people padding and compacting clothes to change their appearance, or maybe as an attempt to fit into a social group or clique. But I believe it has a much deeper and profound significance. It's who we present ourselves as to the world, creating an external facade. Fashion acts as a sneak peek to our core identity, who we are as an individual. And that's where the difference lies, between fashion and clothes. But we are faced with a problem. In our wardrobes, in the future of our planet, and in the fashion industry. Incidentally, society already has a name for the environmental and social problem in our chest of drawers, and that is fast fashion. This concept came about in an attempt to match customers' desires. In the fashion industry, this term is used to describe the rapid turnovers of designs moving from events you've probably heard of, such as Paris Fashion Week and the Met Gala, to current fashion trends. Fast fashion has become so common today because of cheaper, faster, more efficient manufacturing and shipping methods, and what I believe to be the main cause of fast fashion, an increased desire, especially amongst young people like myself, to keep up with the latest styles and ever-changing fashion trends. It's a form of instant gratification. A trend is just what's popular at a certain point in time. Just like any product, a fashion trend has a life cycle. Social media means that information can spread to so many so quickly, and this has a very big influence on the life cycle of a trend. The first stage of a product's life cycle is its introduction, where the origin of a trend is usually crafted by a major brand or designer in the on-season of Fashion Week. The second stage is the rise of this trend, where the style of an item becomes popular amongst its target audience. With the help of social media, and media in general, this usually happens through influencers and celebrities who have a paid promotion, or just really like it and have a genuine appreciation for the trend. For example, in early 2021, Ariana Grande and Olivia Rodrigo were seen in their posts and music videos wearing platform heels. Trend forecasters noticed a 26% increase in the rise of platform heels amongst women in Europe. Not long after, major design brands of Valentino and Versace were creating the shoe, retailers like ASOS were selling the shoe. This shows that celebrities are highly influential in diffusing trends into the general public via the media. Thirdly, there's the peak stage, in which the fashion trend reaches its peak popularity amongst its audience. The length of this period is unpredictable, but tends to be a lot shorter in recent years. Now, to maintain the trendsetter status, most fashion brands tend to be at least a season ahead of fast fashion. The fourth stage is the product's decline. In an almost ironic way, a trend's popularity is often its downfall. Consumers see the trend too much and start to get tired of it. It starts to feel too mainstream. The problem in dealing with the future of our planet is in between these words. The decline stage comes very soon after the peak stage. So, these brands are manufacturing and selling these clothes during their peak, and people are buying them. But then the product goes into decline, and the clothes that people bought aren't trendy anymore, and then they end up in landfill. This shows how fast fashion has created a disposable culture, the idea that clothing is disposable. This not only has an impact on our sense of identity, but an astronomical one on our environment, which is an entirely different topic itself. People are more likely to choose to buy what's cheap and available at the time, over expressing their individuality through their clothing choices. Meaning that in addition to fast fashion affecting our individuality and the future of our planet, it also leads to higher conformity rates. The final stage of the product's life cycle is its obsolescence, where the style becomes out of fashion and people move on to the next peaking trend. In social psychology, there are three types of conformity: compliance, identification, and internalization. In all of the examples I'll give, people are conforming due to normative social influence, which explains conformity out of a desire to be liked and accepted by the majority of the group. This is because human beings are social creatures and have an inbuilt adaptive fear of rejection. Compliance is the most superficial type of conformity. It's when an individual agrees publicly, but privately they disagree, and the only reason they're temporarily changing their beliefs is to avoid disapproval or conflict, out of a desire to be liked. Wearing dark colours at a funeral or dressing smart at a wedding has become a sign of respect. This is compliance. Identification is a moderate level of conformity. It's like compliance, but the reason for conforming is out of a desire to fit in with the social group as the individual identifies with it and wants to be a part of it, to be accepted by the other members. An example of this is within fashion subcultures, who each have their own unique style or look, like Gothic fashion is associated with a dark and mysterious style. So, if we want to identify with this subculture, one would dress dark and mysterious. People do this all the time, myself included. When I first saw the trend of this knitted sleeve top, I thought it looked really silly, and I didn't understand the point of it. But then it kept on coming up on my feed under people who I followed and identified with. I eventually, and unknowingly, began to like it. And now I own one, and it's one of my favourite items of clothing. It's taken me up until now to realise what was going on, how my opinion changed without my awareness. The final and deepest level of conformity is internalisation. This is when an individual truly agrees with the group's norms and ideas, adopting the lifestyle both publicly and internally, all the time. This can be looked at on a much larger scale. For example, gender norms. In most cultures, there are different and distinct fashion expectations for each gender. Many people may be conforming to these as it's a deep form of internalisation. A child's role model, which is someone the child looks up to and learns behaviour from, is more likely to be someone who they are similar to. So, the same gender. If a child was raised where their role model dressed like everyone else their gender, they will grow up thinking that is the norm, and it will become the norm. The problem in our wardrobes comes from the development of cliques and social groups, and fashion. Social media has made it so the fashion cycle happens at a much faster rate, where trends can rise and fall overnight. This leads to identification, as the rapid turnovers creates peer pressure for the individual to conform to the social norms of what everyone else is wearing, so that they can stay trendy and fit in with this social group. However, the problem doesn't just come from us choosing fast fashion, but also from the idea that fast fashion is fast. As previously mentioned, because the rapid production cycles, these brands will invest less on producing a unique and recognisable design, and more on what's trendy and popular at the time. So if all these fast fashion brands are doing is replicating and imitating current fashion trends, there's limited variation in styles, cuts, and colours. Fast fashion brands mass produce to keep costs low and manufacturing fast. So lots of the same clothes are sold, especially ones which are popular, as they tend to saturate the market once they're trendy. Combine this with globalization, and we can see lots of people across a variety of cultures wearing the same clothes. Especially with the heavy marketing and advertising that these fast fashion brands force upon people, creating a sense of urgency and pressure for people to buy these clothes so that they can fit in. These are all factors creating an overall homogenized style, where everyone looks the same. This is a problem, as it can lead to a phenomenon in social psychology called de-individuation. It occurs as a result of being in a large group or wearing a uniform, which is what the homogenized style brings. It is defined as a psychological state in which the individual loses focus and detaches from their personal identity and takes on the identity of the rest of the group. A key component of de-individuation is the shift into reduced self-awareness that uniforms bring. The sense of a group uniform could cause the individual to lose focus and detach from their personal style and fashion choices. People are so caught up in trying to fit in with the latest styles and ever-changing fashion choices that they buy from fast fashion brands, despite the awareness that they possibly have of this part of the fashion industry's effect on their wardrobes, on the future of our planet, and on their individuality. If you take one thing away from this talk, please let it be self-awareness. Be aware of the labels in your clothes, aware of how these labels are affecting your individuality, the way you act, your identity. Open your eyes to why the trends around you are trending, where they're coming from and how. Don't lose yourself as an individual to conform to fast fashion, despite it being hard to escape. Thank you.